Hello everyone and welcome back to my opinion. Afghanistan have beaten England today by 8 runs, meaning they continue in their campaign with one group match left to play. They'll be in contention to qualify for the semi-finals. Unfortunately for England, they've lost the first two matches out of three. Therefore, their campaign will end after their last group match. Let's get into this review. Starting off with the 11s for England, Brydon Carse, I think, was playing with a fractured toe against Australia, and he had been ruled out of the remainder of this campaign, and Rehan Ahmed had been drafted in place of him, but Jamie Overton played in place of Brydon Carse today, and I thought this significantly weakened their bowling attack, as once again we saw it is someone who can be selected purely with his bowling or purely by his batting. No, and especially if you're going to select him purely as a batsman, then is batting at number 8 really going to justify that selection? When at that point in time, from number 7 downwards, you've got to be prioritizing your bowling. So this was significantly going to weaken their attack. And on Afghanistan, in my previous video, I suggested an 11, and they have been going with that template where they've got some batting depth until number 9. And instead of Nangela ya Karoti, where a lot of the time they have been using the seamers in the middle before Noor Ahmed comes on to bowl. So instead of prioritizing batting depth, or rather spin bowling options, where instead of Gulbadin playing Nangela ya Karoti, in Lahore, there's some assistance for the spinners, but not too much. And so the 3 spinners that they have got, then you've got Gulbadin who can provide some batting depth and was in good form in the IOT 20. I feel this is the correct combination that they went with. And whenever Afghanistan win the toss, they have got to bat first. And Hashmatullah Shaili, when he won the toss, he chose correctly, and Afghanistan were batting. I think they were 11 without loss out of the first 4 overs, and Jofra Archer bowled a half volley, and Ramanullah Gurbaz chopped it on to or played the ball onto his stumps. And I thought 2 disappointing dismissals after that point. Sadiqullah Atal was promoted to number 3. And when facing a straight ball, Jofra Archer got some seam movement today and was getting the ball to move away from the left-hander at times, where if you're looking to play a straight ball by taking your front foot across so far, then it becomes difficult to play the straight ball. We saw a quick delivery at about 140 kph, wrapped Sadiqullah Atal on the pads, and he was dismissed Afghanistan 15 for 2. And from an experienced player who played well the previous match while there were no contributions besides his, yes, it was a short ball bowled fairly quickly, but was it a delivery where he should have been dismissed in the way that he was? A half-hearted shot and taken by the boundary fielder, I think at square leg, backward square leg. So it was a very disappointing shot from a player who had played very well the previous match in Afghanistan, with 37 for 3 after 10 overs. But I didn't think the match was over, because now Mark Hood once again bowled quickly, and he bowled very well up front, as he did against Australia. And Jofra Archer as well in this match, I thought he bowled very well up front. And had he given a similar performance against Australia, England managed to lose that match, even though Travis Head and Steve Smith were dismissed early. So given the composition of their bowling attack in today's match, I thought that Afghanistan still weren't out of the game. And Mark Wood, we've seen that with the way he lands when he's bowling, it puts a lot of pressure on his ankle. And I think there was also some talk today that the foot marks meant that there was also uneven footing. Therefore, he struggled that bit more to land, but we have seen this occur. And the reason why, in a video that I posted on one of the matches in the India tour, I'd said they should look to move on from Mark Wood international crickets, because with the way he's bowled up front in these first 2 matches, has the skill levels reduced? No. But if you've got someone who's so injury prone, you're not doing anything to sort out the point of precariousness, then when you're on top in the match, the opposition's 37 for 3, and you've got 2 bowlers bowling at such rapid pace, and one bowler breaks down so often, he's your lead bowler, then you've got to think, one, if I'm unable to sort things out, if I don't consider it as a problem that I can fix, how am I going to get some other players who can bowl with a similar intensity, a similar quality that Mark Wood has produced at the start in these first two matches? Or you've got to think, right, there's a problem, I've got to fix it. If you do neither and your two lead seamers are injury prone, then they won't be able to get momentum in their bowling either, because it's a confidence-based game. You saw Jofra Archer, the first 8 overs, 3 for 34 and 8 at the death. He has gone for runs a lot of the time over the India tour and here in the Champions Trophy. And Mark Wood also, with the way he started off the previous match, then he went for runs. So your two lead seamers aren't getting confidence because you're not managing their injuries properly. You're not managing their biomechanics to make sure they don't get these injuries. And I don't think they will do that. So they're stuck in a situation where, is there anyone better than Mark Wood? No. But he's going to keep getting injured. Will he be able to make it to the 2027 World Cup when he's 2 years older and you have the same injuries, may experience a greater degree of fragility? I don't know. And that's a call they'll have to take. Who will they pick? I don't know. But we saw, once again, you're picking your lead seamers, yes, but with how stop-start things have been, are they able to perform at their optimum? No, they're not. And there was some talk on commentary to say the scoring rate has to pick up. And we've seen, especially when Hashmatullah Shahidi has been batting, I think it's a very good quality in his batting, where he knows the template of his team. Can they go about their business in the same way that other teams with stronger batting lineups can? No, they can't. And this reminds me of the match also against Australia in the World Cup, where there was a lot of talk, a lot of paranoia as to whether he would accelerate. And in both these matches, you saw in this one, I think it was 18 of 33 first. He picked up a couple of boundaries, and Ibrahim Zadran was also rotating the strike. They realized that since Mark Wood was off the field for a while, the part-time spinners in Joe Root and Liam Livingstone would have to come on. And on this service, it offers some turn, but not too much. And if they started milking Adil Rashid, England were going to run out of wicket-taking options, and that's exactly what happened. And it wasn't until the 20th over where I think Ibrahim Zadran went down the track to Adil Rashid and hit him for a 6 over long off. And I'm not just saying this because that's what happened today. Usually with Afghanistan's template, until the 28th over, you don't start seeing big overs. And it was from that point in time when Jamie Overton really got it wrong to Ibrahim Zadran, where the runs started flowing. I think 16 runs were scored in the 20th over, and Hashmatullah Shahidi was also getting boundaries off the spinners and was slowly starting to increase his scoring rate, which is why Afghanistan starting slow is not a problem at all. And unfortunately, he played an inexplicable reverse sweep for a ball that was very full and turning in through his wicket away. But then the players who you got, Azmatullah, Omarzai, Gulbuddin, Naib, Nabi, these are the kind of players who they can get going from the moment they walk out to bat, especially someone like Omarzai and Nabi. And you saw the brisk knock that Omarzai played, as he did against Australia in the World Cup. And the moment Ibrahim Zadran was gaining in confidence, he looked in control throughout. Ibrahim Zadran looked in control from the start. I still think the shot of the match was his third boundary, the off drive, the bowling of Jofra Archer. And as we saw in the knock against Australia in the World Cup, in this case, the classical risk-free switching of gears has been a feature of his batting, especially when Jamie Overton was bowling that 28th over. He got a lot of runs off that, and then he looked to go into the mode that he went into. I think he brought up his century of 106 deliveries and then scored at above 10 and over for the last phase to bring up a fantastic 177. I'd said this in the preview leading up to the World Cup, and while he took a while to get going, he looked good but didn't carry on. Then the knock against Pakistan was the first substantial innings that he played. Then we saw the century against Australia. He's a fantastic player. I really hope that Afghanistan can find a couple more Ibrahim runs to bolster their batting so that in their template they don't have to be so cautious when there's a need for them not to be. The reason why at times they struggle to compete with the bat is because when the opposition bats first and plays a high scoring game like South Africa did, then they tend to struggle. I hope they can find a couple more Ibrahim runs to bolster this batting side, and with the bowling resources they've got, I really think they can be a force in world cricket. Along with the 177, three vital support contributions. Hashmatullah Shady until the mid-innings point or the 28th over or so, when he looked to stabilize things until Omarzai walked out and the tempo picked up. Then Omarzai with a brisk 41. And Mohammad Nabi, I'd said in my preview video that I thought his batting had gone down in the last while, and I was pleasantly surprised to see this contribution from him. So on a good batting surface after being 37 for 3 and you recover to this imposing total, a fantastic effort from Afghanistan. And now on the England bowling, as I'd said towards the start of the video, if your two lead seamers aren't in the position to grow in confidence because they don't know whether they'll get injured or not, and you've seen Mark Wood in this match, and I feel with Jofra Archer injuries around the corner. So 3 for 34 in 8, then the last 2 overs gives 30 runs. Mark Wood was none for 24 in 6 and then gives 26 in his last 2. Jamie Overton, it probably should have been a lot worse than 1 for 72 in 10. I'd say again, if you prioritize selecting a frontline fast bowler, you would not have conceded 325 because Mark Wood went off the field and you didn't have that extra frontline seamer to pick wickets. You saw what happened. Adil Rashid, the moment they were going to milk him for runs, 1 for 60 in 10, he could not have much of an effect in this match because, as I'd said at the start, Lahore is a venue where there is a bit of turn, but the spinners won't be the ones who are dictating terms. It would have to be the seamers. The spinners won't run through an opposition. 1 for 60 in 10, he did not have much effectiveness because of the game plan employed by the Afghanistan batsmen. And Joe Root, none for 47-7 against the subcontinental side. Your bowling part-timers, though, not have an effect. And Liam Livingstone, it says 2 for 28 and 5 because of the last over, apart from 89 effect either. So you're looking at this attack. There is very little there bar Adil Rashid. And if you take out the form of Jofra Archer and Mark Wood, the new ball, they're going for runs at the death. England do not have that wicket-taking threat in the middle, apart from Adil Rashid. And a format like this, if you play him for singles and you get that kind of 1 for 60 in 10 contribution on a good batting surface, you will be in trouble as a bowling side. Now, in the England batting innings, as in the previous match, I wouldn't say this loss was due to a batting failure. I'd say it's more so because of a bowling failure. In the first match, they scored 351, and for some reason, people in the innings break and in the aftermath of that loss of saying England were 30 runs short, which I think is in no way the case. They had well above par at the same venue, and they lost that match at 3 overs to spare. In this case, the Afghanistan side in the second innings displayed signs of inexperience on many occasions. And even though you lost timely wickets, you should have still chased his score down, considering you were allowed to recover after losing those wickets, and how England still didn't manage to chase this down despite getting to 17 or 14 balls. The game was in the bag. So yes, the batting, they didn't help themselves, but at the same time, is that a greater contributor for losing these two matches? I don't think it is. Now, 30 for 2 after the first 6 overs, then Ben Duggett and Joe Root, that partnership was looking ominous for Afghanistan. I thought the quality in bowling dipped from the very start of that partnership where Joe Root scored 2 boundaries and he was away. The inexperience did show. And the first over after the drinks break, Ben Duckett is dismissed LBW after bowling of Rashid Khan, and Harry Brook also looked good when he walked out of bat. Unfortunately, he gave a caught and bowled chance to Mohammad Nabi, and that was accepted. So 133 for 4, I think, at one point. And a Josh Butler, whose form was in question before this match. A nervy start for him, yes. Noor Ahmed, the ball missed the stumps by not too much. But he also got into his innings and scored a 38 before he was dismissed. And despite those timely loss of wickets, while Joe Root, who was starting to get cramps, was still around, all the others had to do was support him. And it wasn't a run rate that you saw with the explosive nature of this England batting lineup and with a side that was showing signs of inexperience on a surface where there was not much spin assistance. It seemed as if England would be the ones who would win the match. And unfortunately for them, that did not happen. And I'd ask this again, you're prioritizing batting depth. We saw Livingston at number 7 once again, the shot he played to a nothing delivery. Jamie Overton scoring 32 runs. He seems to be providing more with a bat than the ball. By the time he walks out to bat and with the damage done the first innings, is there any point in playing him given his contribution? No. And that delivery should have gone for 6 of Omarzai. The dismissals of Overton and Jofra Archer had the capability to hit that ball for 6, according to me. And both those two were dismissed. So yes, Omarzai got 5 wickets, but the English batsmen also threw their wickets away at points in time. In my view, if Joe Root was not affected by cramps, he played a fantastic knock. If he wasn't affected by cramps, that uppercut would have gone over the keeper's head for 4 and he would have won England this match. Unfortunately, the cramps started to set in. Still, he was maintaining a tempo and he was dismissed, caught behind. And at that point in time, you thought the others would have to play responsibly, which we haven't seen them do in a while. Omarzai's 5 wickets. Where were the match-winning contributions from a bowling perspective? There were none. Noor Ahmed got away with it in my view. As in the previous match, he bowled a lot of deliveries on leg stump, but he was not taken for boundaries at times. So none for 51, he got away with it according to me. And Mohammad Nabi, after the start, he started going for runs, so he went at about 7 and over in his 8 overs. And Fazalak Farooqi also, he didn't have too much of an effect, and I thought he resorted to the wrong options a lot of times. So apart from Omarzai's 5 wickets, which in part was granted because of the lack of application from the England batsmen, what was stopping England from winning this match despite giving 325? Then there was not much stopping them from doing that. But apart from Joe Root, who played a fantastic commentary, a lot of time, Fazalak Farooqi, who bowled the Yorker so well in the LT20, he did not do that. He went for slower deliveries. And Azmatullah Omarzai, you hit a length well at the start. He unfortunately drifted towards the end. And he got 5 wickets, yes, but it was a laboured effort. But overall, Afghanistan, when they're prospering in a high-scoring game on a good batting surface, it is a great boon for its cricket. That before, would you have backed them in this kind of situation against an explosive England batting lineup? No. It's a fantastic performance. It's a win that shows how much better they have got, not only because they were beating teams with a certain template before. You saw in the T20 World Cup, if you get 148 on turning conditions. In this case, outside of your comfort zone, you've received a jolt early on and you're going on to win this match. And despite England had many chances to win this match in this chase, you've held your nerve and you've pulled it off. It's a fantastic achievement for Afghanistan. If you enjoyed the video, if you like, subscribe, share with friends. Remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?